I'm not a fan of Christmas, but I think Silent Night is something very important in the whole of Christmas. I've stopped celebrating Christmas some years back, and well, part of the reason were familiar family reasons, falling out with family. Celebrating alone wasn't really something I would do, and then what would I celebrate? The nostalgia was gone, the pretense of celebrating something that never was. And I wasn't religious. I was everything but religious. I was finding my own faith, but something had not come in yet. And that something has now come in for the second time actually. Like last Christmas, Jesus was there. He just barged in. He didn't even knock. He just Did he open the door? Did he just walk through the door? I'm not quite sure. I was not happy. I was very much not happy. And I was not happy this Christmas either. We had an argument again. Christmas. Christ and I. Yeah, last year it was more of the spirit of Christmas was visiting me and dragged, well, and then Jesus barged in. So it was quite beautiful, mysterious, mystical. This year was just like, we're not gonna repeat the same fucking story. And then lo and behold, 1 hour after, like exactly 365 days before, like instead of 4 p.m., it was 5 p.m. So he was practically late. He was there, standing right in the middle of the room, out of nowhere, and said, "Hi," basically. The silent night where we meet ourselves, the parts of ourselves that are hard to meet. Because for me, Christ means cross. It's the crossroads where the different parts of yourself meet and want to integrate, want to communicate, interconnect, and be expressed. As silent as the night is, it is not about keeping it silent, though it's not about like being loud about it either. I mean, religion is very much about being loud. That's not what faith is about. There's a huge difference between faith and religion. And this is, I've, I mean, my YouTube channel is practically non existent when it comes to viewer numbers and whatnot, followers, likes, whatever. Um, but I have made a number of tarot and astrology readings over the past years, very inconsistently. Um, but I've learned, and this is the oddest reading that I've ever done, and I think It's just setting the tone for what is to come. And though this is not about Gemini yet at all, I'm very aware of that. It is about Gemini because Uranus is going to move into Gemini permanent, well, semi-permanently for quite a while. Let's say at the end of April next year. Next year is just around the corner. But then again, what is the calendar year really? And it has dipped its toes into Gemini for a couple of months this year already, from July all the way through to beginning of November. And I was tuning into this reading this morning and contemplating this astrological transit, and I I've had this feeling for a couple of days now because I've been trying to do your reading for a couple of days now, all Christmas actually. Mm, and it feels like, although Uranus is not in your sign right now, Gemini, it might as well be. Uranus might as well be in your sign already in the present moment because it has such a big influence on your sign already. And I'm saying that not being a Gemini. Like I don't have a major placement in Gemini. I have my Chiron there, but I have my moon in Taurus, so it would be easier for me to feel Uranus via my moon, but I don't. The Taurus reading was transformational. I did that reading just before yours now, a couple of days ago, but Uranus in Gemini is something else, I can tell you that. But maybe it's just so transformational because also Saturn and Neptune are gonna change signs, and Pluto already has, like, I don't know how familiar you are with astrology, but astrologers have been talking about this for the past year or so, or just at least half year or so, at least. Because it is important, it is extraordinary. It doesn't happen that often, but I'm not sure if that is really the trigger for what is to come, because 2026 is going to be different. And of course, every year is different. But that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. 2026 marks the 6th year. We're going to call that an anniversary of 2020. We all know what happened in 2020. And it is the anniversary, the half anniversary of Jupiter, because I think 2020 happened the way that it did because we had a triple conjunction between Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. Actually, it's a sixfold conjunction because they were meeting up with their south nodes at the same time. So it's incredible. It was incredible. Like, just imagine that. We, like, once a month, the moon hits its south or north node, twice a month, either of one of its nodes. And when the sun is also close, the nodes of the moon at the same time during a new moon or a full moon, we have an eclipse, a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse. So that is a triple conjunction or a double conjunction, or normal. A double conjunction is a normal conjunction plus an opposition if it's a lunar eclipse. Mm, And every time you add another point, a node, or a planet to a conjunction, it gets less likely for it to happen. And then, so we had that sixfold. A solar eclipse is a threefold conjunction. It happens because the moon is so fast. It happens twice a year. But neither Jupiter, Saturn, or Pluto are slow planets. Jupiter and Saturn are considered to be social planets. Pluto is definitely an outer planet, by some not even a planet, whatever. But they are all slow in comparison, so you do the numbers on how rare this event is. And then Jupiter returns to the same spot space in the sky every 12 to 12 and a half years or so. So around about 12 years. So from around about now, because, well, 2020 already started in fall 2019, I want to say. That was when we saw the first signs of something odd happening, something odd coming our ways. And you add 6 years and maybe 3 months to it, and we're definitely in that period. A full moon period if the new moon was 2020. So things are gonna be visible, become visible. Things are gonna show. And then on top of that, we have that. We have that. Uranus is changing sign. Neptune and Saturn are changing sign. And then Pluto already has changed signs. I'm not laughing. I'm not smiling. And I wish I was. And I will at some point I be able to. And I'm sure you'll be able to. But right now, it's gonna be a hell of a ride. But the good thing is, as tumultuous as it might become at some points, we have been blessed. We have been blessed with something, and that blessing might look like a curse in the beginning. But it's up to us to count our blessings, and when we're short of blessings, you sure are turning towards your curses. And then you realize, yeah, that's actually true. There's actually some truth in it. Every curse is a blessing in disguise. I can tell you, right? Yeah, I can tell you that I'm struggling with that obviously very much in the very moment. For me, it's self-confidence. Not being able to be a representation of my true self, I want to say. And I'm not really a person that I would consider to be shy. Well, I can be shy, but I don't consider myself to lack self-confidence really. And then I'm figuring out that this is the case. It's kind of weird. It's complex, and I believe many people will be faced with a similar complexity soon, sooner than later. And I'm still talking around the point that I really wanted to get out. The most important thing, eh, the second most important thing. The most important thing that was shared with me, that I can share, that I want to share with you in this reading right now, is that though Christ, Jesus Christ, is associated by many astrologers and many people who are into esoteric, um, into the esoteric side of things, consider Jesus Christ as be associated with Neptune and Pisces because he represents basically love and connection and empathy and all those Piscean and Neptunian attributes. But and this is, it's not that this is not true, it is. But in the sense that I believe Jesus Christ is our connection to that, to Neptune. Neptune for me is not the highest, but the second highest, so to speak. The stars are the highest, and they're in their entirety, in their innumerability, if that is a word, are the highest, the our our guides, where we are called to be just one and nothing else, where we just are, rather. And Neptune is then the appearance of the good, the neutral pleasure, like not pleasure like how we perceive it here on Earth in our physical bodies, but the concept of goodness, I want to say. But Jesus Christ is perhaps Uranus. I mean, if you think about it, as much as his story, his message was about love, his life was a very authentic one. He also lived very fast. Like he lived a very fast-paced life that was very short, with sudden turns and a certain yeah, unpredictability. Though he knew what would happen to him. But then again, I don't think he knew everything at all points in his life because he was still living a human life after all. I mean, I believe that he was generally all God, but also all human. But you gotta face uncertainty to some degree, otherwise you're not human. And Uranus is authenticity. He is fast. He's just swooping in, making a mess, and just leaving. Like in tarot, some readers interpret the tower with Uranus. I don't. I don't think Uranus is very obviously present in the tarot. It is, but not in the major arcana. Oh yeah, and then the Fool card is also associated with Uranus by many. I don't. It's for me it's air. It's it's not Uranus. Um so Uranus moving over into your sign, Gemini, means that you have more of a direct line to Jesus than you had before, which is beautiful. But then again, we all have a Gemini placement in our horoscope, in our natal chart, so it's not just you. Jesus could not ever. He does favor. He does favor people, but he could not ever not love someone. So in a way, he's there for us all. We just need to turn towards him. And then he's also there for us in a more obvious, active kind of way, I want to say. That makes sense. I wonder, I just had a thought, so I just want to see, because it feels like when Saturn is going to be opposite Jupiter, or rather Jupiter is going to be opposite Saturn, since Jupiter is the faster one. No, what did I say? Saturn opposite Jupiter opposite Saturn. My goodness. No, Jupiter? What am I doing here? I think I'm confusing myself because I don't like to look up things on the fly. I usually like to do that ahead of time. Oh yeah, that's why I did that. I thought I wanted to look up Saturn opposite Uranus, but for some reason I thought about Jupiter. Yeah, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna happen anytime soon. Saturn opposite Uranus. They're gonna meet in a conjunction though, but that's also not before 2029. But that's gonna be interesting. But it's still far into the future. Far into the future. I mean, it's just I don't know when it's gonna happen because um I just looked 3 years into the future, but I don't really want to look farther out because things are so unpredictable now. And it's not like they were really predictable before. No, they were. But we have a paradigm shift coming up. So the rules are shifting. The rules that we live under. And for some, it's going to be terrifying. For most of us, it's going to be terrifying. Um, but what we can do, where we have control, is where how how we're going to respond to our fears. That we can steer, I want to say. So I waffled for 25 minutes. Um, let's put some cards. I'm using the Thoth deck here. I don't know if I'm gonna use the clarifying decks, but I have the Botticelli deck and the Dulac Edmund Deluxe Tarot. So let's see. What can we see for Gemini, for Capricorn season, or rather from the new moon in Sagittarius, which has already passed, to the new moon in Capricorn? What can we see for Gemini? What can we see for this? Oh, still a Christmas reading. I'm in Germany. I'm German. And we have a second Christmas day. It's kind of weird. And it's the second Christmas day. It's the 26th. I think the Christmas celebrations in Germany kind of got out of hand. Ten of Pentacles, heritage. Whoa, that's too close. There we go. Maybe like that. Can you focus on it? Oh, Sword and knots. It's not too bad, is it? Yeah. Heritage. What are we leaving behind? What is worth leaving behind? What are we building? What is our foundation built on? What are we using as a foundation? What has been passed down from our ancestors to us? Okay. Ten of Wands. Looks like swords. Looked like swords to me for a second. Three of Swords and Five of Swords. So Ten of Wands, Three of Swords in the middle, and then Five of Swords. Ten of Wands is the decan that this new moon in Sagittarius was in. It's called Oppression by Crowley, but I call it Consequences. And it's the consequences that come from past decisions. And the Swords card here kind of remind me of decisions. Three of Swords and Five of Swords. Three of Swords is double Saturn. So potentially pretty unbalanced card, but where we tap into the rule maker, the planet that makes us understand things. It's also the highest feminine force. If you look, Neptune is also for me kind of like a feminine force, but it's too close to the source yet, so it's not feminine in all its glory, in all its, I don't know. It's just a tendency. It's not yet that pronounced, so to speak. And Saturn is the first Sephira, but also planet where we can tap into femininity. And it's about understanding. It's not necessarily cognitive understanding, though this is a Swords card. This is very much about cognitive understanding. The essence of Saturn is not so much. And then we have the Five of Swords, which I call freedom. Here it's called defeat. It is a card that is associated with Venus in Aquarius, but also a Mars card since it's a 5. All the 5 cards are associated with Mars. And Venus and Mars are obviously our big planets that we associated with physical, let's say more the physical side of femininity and masculinity. Yeah, it feels like um what are the consequences of believing what our ancestors believed in? Because not all of the things that we believe in is really a conscious choice. I mean, it takes, I want to say, a lifetime or two um, to kind of sort through all the bullshit that our ancestors left us. So I'm certainly I'm certainly experiencing that. So let's see what there is to see for the future. What does Gemini need to know right now about the future? So I don't really believe in predicting the future, but I certainly believe in preparing in a way for the future by way of doing the work in the present moment. And we have the Emperor, Aries energy. I also want to say, isn't well, Crowley associates, the Hebrew letter tzadi with the emperor. That's that thing. That funny looking letter down here that you're probably not familiar with because very few people know Hebrew. I'm learning it right now. There we go. And there it is, the card that I was looking for. The star. And Crowley switched around the position of the star card and the emperor card in his understanding of the major arcana. So he changed the position, switched them around, and I don't agree. I know why he did it, and from his perspective, this looks good. From my perspective, it doesn't. Um, and so I think the emperor is associated with he, which is this letter, this one, and not tzadi. That's not focusing, I'm sorry. But and he for me is the path from Keta to Hotma. Now what is Keta? What is Hotma? I have yeah. I sorry, let me fix that. I didn't notice it that I was basically oops. Looking in a mirror. There we go. That's better. So, yeah, a mirror is such a lie. We are so used to lies. We don't even we don't even really notice it when it's screaming us in the face. I mean, it's quite crazy. So the Emperor card is, I believe, this path here from Keta, this threefold Sephira up here, to Hokma, which is associated with Uranus. And I've obviously been talking about Uranus essentially for 25 minutes before I started this reading. Jesus Gnaw, Christmas, the Silent Night, the Silent Force. Yeah, that's what I also tapped into when I was preparing your reading, when I was tuning in, and I had this feeling Uranus might as well be already in your sign, I literally, like viscerally, saw and felt something swooshing behind me. And I usually do not feel these kind of things. Like my imaginary ability is quite good, could be better, but I can daydream very easily. Very far, far too easily for the sake of my sanity. Um, but this was different because I could feel it. I could hear a swooshing sound and I could feel a presence just swooshing by behind me. Crazy. Very crazy. And that felt like Uranus. Uranus swooping in and boop, he's gone again. Now, this is not Aries quality necessarily. But also Aries is not the slowest sign, but it's also not the fastest one. You are one of the fast ones, obviously. You're one of the mobile ones. Aries is more like, no, I'm just gonna do it my way. No, not like that. Eh, not like that. We are being corrected. And actually, I think we are not just corrected, we are uprighted. We are uplifted. But it's not going to feel like that. At least not in the beginning. It'll feel like the worst thing. Because it pushes or even yanks us out of our comfort zone. And every bit that we have worked on in the past, where we deliberately went outside of our comfort zone, it'll be so beneficial to us because it'll be that much easier for us in 2026, but it's not going to be easy for anyone. Not at all. Okay, I just had a thought. Gonna, I'm just gonna, oopsie. No, I don't think that's the card. I'm gonna draw another card or two, whatever wants to come out for this thought that I just had. And it's an odd thought, so I'm not sure yet if it's relevant or not. We have Two of Pentacles. Oh, I love this deck. It's so beautiful. And a bit glary prone. There we go. That's cool. I'll take it. Yes. Not in focus, but at least glare free for the most part. Two of Pentacles is change. It is also root growth. It's the beginning of Capricorn. It's where the sun is in right now. I don't know. Is that a confirmation or is it not? I would say it's not. They look like devils, like little devils, like demons, with their with the horns on their heads. But then again, what are horns? I mean, it reminds us of the goat Capricorn, and Capricorn is associated with the devil. But I don't really understand why. It's not really fair, is it? But then again, huh, never made that connection. Um, in the Bible, there's a lot of blaming, so to speak, blaming, um, on the woman eating the apple from the wrong tree and then cursing creation, God's creation, basically. Well, that's one of the interpretations. That's a Christian interpretation, and I'm not a Christian. Um, but Saturn is the first feminine. It's the first tangible, yeah, tangibly, like in an obvious way, feminine Sephira and planet. And Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, so is Aquarius. But then Aquarius is the more out there sign of the two because it's air, and Capricorn is earth, and earth is easier to reach for us. It is also easy, perhaps easier to condemn when we think about sexuality, for example. Feminine sexuality, first and foremost. And then, if you because you can't have male sexuality because without female sexuality, all sexuality is cursed, which I don't agree with. But maybe that's where that association comes from. How about we clean that mess up? Clean up that mess. Um, in 2026. I mean, how about we start? Because I think it's gonna take us a while to clean that up that mess because it's huge. But yeah, the bottom of the deck is the Three of Cups, which is one of the is aren't there more? I think there are more than one depictions of what is it? The some Venus portrait picture thingy. I can't think of it. Who drew it? Isn't it in the Sixteen Chapel or something in the Vatican with the seashell and all? Is it Venus though? I can't remember. Looks like Venus to me right now. But yeah, it's the Three of Cups. It's for me protection actually. I mean, for many people, it's more like celebration and friendship. For me, it is protection. So that something can grow. Not like this is all mine and you can't have any, that kind of protection. It's not an egotistical kind of protection. It is a protection out of necessity. Like how you would protect a child. Not just would, how you well, are we really protecting children? Are we really? To the degree that they need to be protected? Can't we do better? Is it really good for our children to be on the internet at all on their own? I don't think so. So, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there. Thank you for tuning in. I don't know how many people are actually gonna listen to this, but that's how things are right now, and they're gonna change. Thank you. Hope to see you soon again. Bye.